Hey guys, I'm Dana Davis. This is Day and Night Studio. I'm a certified teacher, K through 12. I've been teaching art for 16 years now, and I've learned a few things that I would love to share with not only my students when they miss class, but also with anybody who has a desire to learn and get better. So these lessons are about improvement, not perfection. So keep that in mind as you go forward. If you've ever drawn hair and thought, oh, it looks like a bunch of worms. Why does it look like a bunch of wires or a blob? These are the kind of things that I've heard countless times from really hardworking but frustrated art students. So I want to break down how I approach drawing the hair so that when I draw it, it gets better the longer I work on it, not worse. That can be a huge frustration. You just work and work and work, and doggone it if it doesn't get worse. We want it to get better eventually. So today, I'm gonna share 4 steps with you. I'm gonna wait till the end to share that 4th one. But with each step, there's a fair amount of work to do inside those steps. So skipping a step, neglecting a step, not knowing about a step can be the difference between good and great. So stay till the end, figure out that last step, and I think that your drawings will get much better, and hopefully you'll have a lot less frustration when it comes to drawing a head of hair, no matter the length, no matter the texture, the color, nothing. All right, let's start drawing.
Get the general shape of the hair as it relates to all the facial features. So right beside the eyes, what's there? Right beside the nose, the mouth, right above the nose. Then you're gonna shade it. At least start with a mid-tone and make sure you give the background a little bit of attention. Because all those little light blonde flyaways can't show up on a white background. So you have to do something to create some contrast so you can draw with your eraser. Last step is to separate. During this last step, you're going to find little groups of hair, clusters, and start dividing them up, counting them, looking at negative space shapes between them and among them. This is the step that beginners want to start with, and they want to skip often those first 2 steps and then wonder why it's not looking right or a shape that they made later on looks out of place. Within this separate step, we're also separating values. What we initially did as 3 values, we're now going to separate it into 5 values, 7 values, and eventually 10 values. So each area will probably hold at least 7 different values. So that's part of the separation process as well. So do not neglect your value in those areas. Now let's try it with curly dark hair. Let's find the shape as it relates to the face. Now we're going to give it a light shading. With curly hair, I separate as I shade because there's so much separating to do when it comes to curly hair. So if you're not treating each individual case of hair a little bit differently, then you're probably oversimplifying. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the secret bonus step, and that is to squint. When you squint, you only see what's very important in high contrast areas. Squinting helps you to see value and not detail. Now that we've gone over these steps twice, let's have a pop quiz. Can you remember all those steps? I'll tell you a little secret. They all begin with the letter S. So our first step is shape it up. Find the big shapes. Our second step is to start shading it. At least get a mid-tone in most of the areas of your drawing so that the areas of contrast you're dealing with actually make sense. What's light on the paper can't look light until you darken what's around it. Step number 3 is start separating shapes of hair and values. So separate it out. What you interpret as one big area of value, start saying, okay, are there any little value changes happening in this area? On the dark side of the head, yes, it's much darker in the background on this side than the other side. So what was 1 value needs to be 2 or 3. what was one midtone needs to be separated into 2 or 3 values. So separate it out. During this last step, do the bonus secret step, which is squint. Try to ignore detail until you absolutely can't help yourself. Squint to see value, to blur your eyes enough to where the unimportant areas disappear and you can only see what is the most important. And use that eraser to pull up your highlights. When you shade with that tissue, it makes drawing with the eraser so wonderful. Now you can really punch in those super duper darks, and it makes the head shape, the hair shape really round out. Have you learned anything so far? Is it starting to make sense that going through these steps is very helpful? Could you use these in your drawing? If you think it would make your drawing easier, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to come back for more lessons, please subscribe so you don't lose my itty bitty channel. All right, shape it up, shade it up, and separate it. We're shading. Look how all that blending mopped away a lot of what I had since I'm using a 6B. And it looks kind of crazy right now. You have to push through that step and realize that you have the ability to clean this up. And you can start vague and general, but you will get more and more specific. See, I'm just adding darks into the little areas in between. So it's eraser, pencil, bounce back and forth. If you see an area of light, put it in there. If you see some dark, go back to the pencil tip, press it in there. Always squinting, always checking for big areas of value, areas of contrast that you can't ignore. These are just studies, little mock-ups before you start a portrait, just to study what you have and to help your brain capture a lot of those shapes that you may forget as you look away.
Hey guys, thanks for staying until the very end. I hope you found this lesson helpful. I hope you found the information valuable. And if you saw something that you think you're going to use later on, something that maybe you didn't know before, please subscribe and like. Pass this video along to a friend who you know loves to draw and who could use a little help. Don't forget, it's about improvement, not perfection. So give it time and keep practicing.